Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for episode 131 of the MeepleCore Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Jennette, the Mental Meeple, and I'm joined by my co-host,
George Breden.
And in this episode, we talk about the board games, Aztec, Gold West, and Beyond the Sun, and much more. Intern Alexa, ask a random question.
Here's a question for you. Where is the strangest place you've urinated or defecated?
I mean, I don't have any illegal activities or anything, you know, maybe the woods or something. I'll tell you this, though.
This is a family show, right?
This is a family show. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the place that I've done the number 2 that I'm not a camper. All right. And when we were young, we constantly went to the Ohio River, like in campgrounds and stuff, and had the old, you know, kind of like potty seat on a bucket type of thing.
I thought you were going to be peeing in the river, like actually in the river.
Nah, we always went in the woods to do that. But more importantly, though, I don't like, you know, doing the number 2 in public, not really public, but wooded areas. That it's really weird because at first it's kind of like squatting to it. And then eventually we made a makeshift toilet that we brought with us. Either way, though, man, it's so just, so I don't know if it's really.
Yeah. I don't know how unusual mine is, but I used to drive a truck, and sometimes you don't get to stop. You don't get to stop and take care of that stuff. So if you have a bottle of something that you finish drinking, that's what you're using. That's what happens.
That's fair. I've done that as a kid, actually, like, you know, a long time ago, because we were stuck in traffic. That's actually, you know what? That's going to be my story, since we're now the podcast about poop. When I was young, we were stuck in traffic. I remember I was probably like 4 or 5 or 6 or something. This is one of the earliest things I remember because it was traumatic, I guess.
I bet.
We were in traffic, but it was traffic that was moving a little bit, so you couldn't stop and go and jump in the woods or whatever.
Right.
And my mom later on told me that I had just, you know, I hadn't been potty trained that long, right? Like maybe a year or 2. I don't know.
Sure.
Either way, I had to go really bad. And it's like, here's this pot we carry around. Like, it's like a cooking pot. And later I told my mom, like, I mean, I was an adult at this time. And I told her, why was there a pot in the car? Was this anticipated? And I guess it was.
Really? Wow.
It was anticipated. Like, we carry around a little portable potty seat that has like these little wings that it opens up and you can sit it on a potty, you know, like a normal potty, so that kids have a smaller potty to go on, or the wings can fold down and it's like a seat that you can sit on. You can attach like a plastic bag to the bottom of it.
And if you happen to have it in the car and this were to come up, yeah.
Right. And we carry that thing around all the time, you know, especially when the kids are potty training and stuff. So,
sure.
Well,
but you remember this as being this traumatic event.
Yeah.
And yet here you're ready to do the same thing to your kids.
Yeah, right. That's right. It is interesting. Because as a kid, you freak out about the random things because you're not experienced, you know. As an adult, It's just like, okay, well, you're pooping in this potty. Potty.
Yeah, it's either that or, it's going to be
that or your
much
pants.
worse.
You make the choice.
Exactly.
Well, we're not a podcast about poop. We are a podcast about board games and video games. We are gaming podcasts. So,
yeah, we blame this on our intern.
Yeah, good job, intern, bringing up the weird questions here. Hopefully it was still enjoyable, though. Anyway, I just recorded and posted another episode. Normally we would talk about what we've been up to between episodes. I don't have much since it was one day and work was busy. There you go. So we're going to defer to George, who has been out an episode, and see what you've been up to.
All right. Well, I was in Louisville. I was visiting Kat, and we had a week of playing games. So I'm just going to go over some of the games we played. wasn't just playing games. We were doing other things too, but finally had the chance to play some games in person. And we took the opportunity to play a couple of the unlock games, the escape room games that use cards. And I have to say, I'm not a great big fan of these. We played a few of them, and I feel like there's just a little bit of inconsistency with it, and sometimes you're penalized for things that you have not, like, very little information about. You just get penalized. Or sometimes you get a puzzle that you might have a few guesses on, and yet you're penalized every time you take a guess. And really, you had to just hold this puzzle until the end of the entire game so that you would have the last piece of information. But you had no idea that that was coming, and you thought, I have to solve this the whole time. So you keep going back and trying it and getting penalized. It's just, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the system.
Really?
Have you played these unlocks?
I've played about 12 of them or something. Yeah.
Okay.
I've played most of them.
Yeah. Did you find any of this stuff to be the case?
For me, I enjoy the system quite a bit, like a lot.
Yeah.
I think that, and I don't know if this is what you're referencing, but I like the idea that it punishes you for trying combinations that don't seem like they would fit together for any reason. Like, why would you burn this cloth that you're obviously, or you got a map and you got a lighter. Why would you burn the map?
Okay. Yes. But then there are other times where you do have to just go and make a crazy association with something. So how do you know when it's one thing or when it's the other? You don't.
I mean, so far, I don't think any of the combinations were outlandish to me that I remember.
Okay.
Maybe there was, like, why would that go together? But for the most part, we usually draw some sort of logical conclusion, like maybe we can melt this candle and fill in this hole and get through this, That's not a thing, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do. I get it.
We try to talk it through before we actually choose to type it in the thing and see if it's a solution.
Right.
The only thing that I've ever came across in the unlock games, and I'm not going to spoil it at all because they are one plays. I mean, if you know it, then it sucks, Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, just one time, one shot.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the nature of it. So I'm okay with it. There's so many of them. It's not like there's just one or two.
Right. That's true.
You can get a lot of play, but I don't know which ones you played, but there is one that breaks the fourth wall with the puzzles. It's really hard to go deeper than that unless you've played it, and we can discuss it afterwards, but basically it doesn't just use the cards. It uses something else. And it's not what you expect. And I actually was really disappointed. It was the ending to one of the games.
Yeah.
And the rest of the game was fine. The very last puzzle was absolute trash. I do not like that. So,
well, that was one of the ones we played. I know it has to be the one you're talking about. And I absolutely agree. It was the worst. It gave me a bad taste for the whole thing.
You didn't know what to do, and then you solved it by using the clues, and it told you, and you're like, you got to be kidding me. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exact. If it is the same one, we'll talk about it after the episode, but if it is the same one, that is the only one so far I've played. Well, because everything else in that game was fine up until the very last puzzle. That very last puzzle ruined that game.
And it wasn't I know this is very vague since we can't really spoil it. It wasn't the puzzle itself. It was the directions of it in a way. In a way, it was what they told you that made you think one thing when it was really a different thing. And it was bad.
Yeah, it was just lame. I don't like that. Long story short, I want to pull the clues and everything from the cards that are available, not from other things, unless it's included in the box and it's pretty obvious. Like, for instance, there's the Alice in Wonderland one that comes with other things, and these are going to be used.
These are going to be part of it. Yeah.
That's a different story, but man, it's hard to really explain it without giving it away, because if I gave it away and you play it, it would trivialize the puzzle.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go any more into that, but there's a bunch of other ones I like. I actually like the system and everything to a degree. I mean, it's very simplistic. Obviously, games like Exit are a little bit better because you're cutting things up and, you know, there's a little bit more of
there's more to
interaction.
it. Yeah. Well,
But
maybe I just had a bad experience. Like a couple things were niggling at me from one of the games, and then I got to that one, and I was like, "This is garbage."
So, other than that one, what other ones did you play?
Well, it was all the ones that were in the same series.
Set? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other was that the one?
Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just that series.
Maybe.
I can't remember what it's called. It's like
Is it the one with the nautical thing where you're on the submarine and everything?
I've played that one.
That one was all right. I like that one.
I don't think that was part of the same series though.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Man. Anyway. Well, the series that has the like the Sultan's Palace and all that.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
The ones in that, plus the Nautilus, is what we played.
Okay. Yeah, I think that there needs to be a compilation list of which ones you should play in what order.
Right, to give yourself the best chance of actually liking this game.
Right, because like the first one we played was I don't remember what it's called. Like it wasn't Tonopol's Island because that's like a treasure hunt thing, but this is it's like the plane crash.
Okay.
And I played it because I knew that the concept of that one is that the group gets split up into two parties and you have to like split the deck up and start solving things and talking to each other's group to solve puzzles.
Okay. And well, see, that might be a difference as well because we were just playing 2-player, right? So maybe it's better with more. I don't know.
No, I think other than that one that I just mentioned, which we played with 6, which number 1 is probably too many. I think 4 is good. I actually like this at 2 players the most.
Okay.
I don't mind having 3 players. The problem is if you have too many people, then, you know, if somebody's a lot quicker at solving puzzles, then the other people get kind of shut out or you're just kind of.
Yes. And that's happened playing exit type games, not exit, but there was another one that we were playing with 4 players and basically 2 people did the whole thing. And 2 of us are sitting there like, what are we doing?
Right. And that's not a fault to the Unlock series or Exit series. It's just that's the nature of solving a puzzle as fast as possible, you know?
Yeah.
That's like going and doing
don't share the components, like, you know, you got to pass the information around and yeah.
Yeah. We actually do involved. With Unlocks, we actually split the decks up among all the players. So if we are playing with 3 players, we split it up like evenly.
Okay.
You know, roughly, we don't count the cards out, but just make 3 rough stacks and hand it to people. And then when it comes time, it's like, all right, we need card 77. Everybody's flipping through their own deck.
Yeah.
But anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, it's cool. We did the unlocks, and these were games that we traded for. So I don't think I would buy them. I'm not going to spend money on escape room type games unless it's an actual escape room where I'm in person with people, you know. So this is just not my thing, really, the escape room type games. And these were okay, I guess, but the system wasn't quite what I was hoping for. Anyway, we also played a game that I've had for a long time, haven't played, and I really liked it. Really liked it. It's called Bees.
Bees. Is that the one where the bees can only move in diagonals or whatever?
Yes, and it's a simple abstract. You fly around the flowers and get the nectar, but it's tricky because you have to put them into your hive. Depending on the number of spaces that you moved when you got it, has to go into a space that matches that number in your hive. And there's just a lot going on in this very simple system. It's BEEZ is how they spell bees. And it's a beautiful game. We really had a great time with that one. And the one thing I would say is the game is too short. The way that the rules are written, every time you pick up a piece of nectar, you move this counter at the top of your board. There are times where you can pick up 2 pieces of nectar. And the way the rules are written, it seems like you move it twice. So there's no real benefit to picking up the 2 pieces unless you really want the 2 pieces and have places to put them. So we changed that house rule and house ruled it to where if you get those 2 pieces, you still only move the time tracker once. And it allows you to fill up your board more, and it just makes the game better. I don't know. I don't understand why it wasn't like that from the beginning. But that's my recommendation for Bees. Great game. And then we played a couple of games that I had traded for, and they were okay. They're mediocre games. Forbidden Sky, which is the one after Forbidden Island and Forbidden Desert, was okay. You know, kind of the same as those, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then there was a game, Dragon Keepers, which was by Vital Lacerda, but also his daughter Catherine. Very different for him. And it was a cooperative game where you're training these dragons and trying to protect them from these dragon hunters that are coming after them. And it was enjoyable. It was okay. Not great, but it was all right. And then played the Dale of Merchants. It's been a long time since I played that one, but that's one of my favorites. And it was so great to get back into that and play with some of the animal folk that we haven't played with either before at all, because Dale of Merchants 3 has come out since COVID. So there's 6 more animal folk that we hadn't played with at all. And then some other animals that we just hadn't played with very much. And great time. Love that game. So Dale of Merchants.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind playing Dale of Merchants again. I just played it that one time.
All right, yeah, we definitely need to, because there's so many combinations and there's just so much that can go on in that game. Yeah.
Sweet.
That's it for me.
All right, cool. I've just been playing Hades.
Hades.
Yeah, I mentioned that last episode, and I think the one before it I just had gotten the game, but it's a roguelike game where you play as this guy named Zagreus. You spawn in, you try to escape Hades.
Oh, and you're like shooting everything, right?
Yeah, it's like a hack and slash, kind of like Diablo style.
Okay, right.
At first, it's a roguelike game, so you're trying to progress through the whole game. The idea is you need to beat the game in one life, essentially. Right? Because if you die, you have to start all over.
Oh my God.
But
that would get so tiring.
Dude, it's so good. I know it sounds dumb, but I mean, there's another game that I used to play like this called Rogue Legacy, which actually number 2 is coming out soon. But basically, you go through this dungeon. It's really hard. You collect all this stuff. You die, right?
And then you have to start all over. Oh my gosh.
Right, but it's randomly generated somewhat too. So it's not like you're seeing the exact same map every time.
Okay.
But there's story that gets involved, and you're trying to escape and you fight these other gods, and you kill them or you don't kill them. And then when you go back to your main place, you spawn back out of this pool of blood. He gets up, he's like, oh, that hurt, and he walks up and his dad's just a jerk. It's Hades. He's like, oh, why are you trying to escape? I told you no one ever leaves, and then you go see that girl Mag or whatever her name is, the first boss that you fight. Yeah. And she's like, depending on if you killed her last time or not, she'll have like different responses. It's like, next time you try to escape, I'm not going to be so easy. And,
right.
But there's a lot of
heckling you.
Yeah. There's a lot of other story going on. It just builds and builds and builds. But there is stuff that you get to increase your character overall. So it's like you're playing through the game, you die, you start back over. You increase certain things that are like natural stats or whatever. And so the game gets easier and easier. Plus you get better and better. It is phenomenal. It is so good. But man, it is such a good game. Like I get like if Dark Souls, right? Dark Souls is the same type of game, right? But Dark Souls is punishingly hard. This isn't as hard as Dark Souls. But you do feel so awesome when you get, because as you're playing through the game, you choose a weapon, right? Yeah. Say you choose like the sword or whatever. Each little room that you go through gives you some sort of choice of awards. It might be like, now your sword does extra damage and inflicts this one type of status effect. Or you can choose to have your special attack do a wider range and stuff. And so you're trying to like build your character as you play through it. And then when you die, you lose every bit of that.
Oh, jeez.
And then you're like, maybe I'll try a different weapon, and you'll get different things as you're playing through it.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's hard to explain it unless you played these type of games.
I might try it. I don't know if I can handle you die and you start all the way over no matter what. Yeah. Because I'm not good enough at games. Is really what I'm saying. That's my problem.
I mean, it gets easier though, because as you go back to town, quote unquote, you can increase all those, those natural abilities of your character. Like for instance, there's one called like a death standing or something like that. Death, cheat death basically. Whereas if you die, it'll use a charge and then refill you up to 50% health. And so as you play through and you get more of that
That's
purple
fantastic.
resource,
Then you're not really dead.
You can get those again. So like essentially you can play and have like 3 lives now going through the dungeon.
Okay.
There's stuff like that, but man, the story is awesome. The humor in it is excellent. Oh my God. The main character is just so cool.
All right. I might be in.
Man, if anything, watch like a playthrough video for like 10 minutes and see it,
Yeah.
The
That's
combat,
true. Yeah. Have somebody else do it and then I don't have to bother.
Well, I don't know about that, but the combat is fantastic. You feel like you are so good at this game sometimes. It's rewarding. It's a rewarding experience.
Awesome. Okay. I'll give it a shot.
Other than that, I've been playing the Cartographer app for the iPhone. Building maps. The app is a 3 out of 5, but it's still fun.
The game itself is fantastic. Yeah.
The game itself is fantastic. The app implementation seems very, I wouldn't say amateurish, but it's not got enough polish to make it seem like it had a lot of budget behind it, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
It does the job, but like, it's just really weird. You click stuff and it just instantly happens, like from loading screens instead of having some sort of animation or whatever. Like the type of polish that you see on like video games where, you can load stuff instantly, but make some sort of flashy effect happen to where it, that people are used to at this point, not just old iPhone apps when it first came out where you click things. It's like, bam, 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 It's just missing that little bit of polish to make it an excellent app. But overall, it works out really well.
Does the app have the expansion material? Like
the expansion that was released recently?
Yeah, like Cartographer's Heroes or...
No, I don't think so. Or at least I haven't checked. Okay. I don't think it's like a DLC or anything either.
Yeah, maybe
so far. Maybe it is, but I do want to try that out though. Anyway, we got some news for you. I got one thing I'm going to mention, and then George has some Kickstarter games to go over. The Epic Games free game Thursday is the Spectrum Retreat. And this seems like a game that's like almost like a point and click / exploration game, like I guess you're in this hotel and you're walking around trying to figure out what's going on, solving puzzles. Kind of reminds me of old games like Myst. You ever played that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks kind of neat. I'll never play it. Probably. It's very low on the totem pole for me, but if you like those type of games, that is free to download at the moment for the next week. So,
all right. Very cool.
Tell us some Kickstarter goodness.
All right. So Kickstarter goodness. One that I'll bring up is from Ryder Games. They have a new set of graphic novel adventures. So we've seen some of these graphic novel adventures before. We've played the one where we were a gang of kids and everyone had a different ability. It was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. And I played Your Town, which we need to...
Your Town, yeah, which I didn't
talk about.
And this has a bunch of new ones. They have one that is a Sherlock Holmes International. There's the Space Brigade, where you're out in space fighting off aliens. There's Dark Mage, so you are wizards. There's the Grand Tournament, where you are it's like a fighter, like a Street Fighter kind of tournament or something.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, this is...
as long as they don't do the drop the pencil to hit things, I'd rather just supply a die and roll it.
Yeah, check these out because the art is so different on each of these. And it looks like the gameplay is too. These look really terrific. The art styles are all really well done, but they're all so different. Definitely give it a look.
Cool.
And you can get the entire graphic novel adventures collection, which now totals 20 books.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, you're going to be paying quite a lot if you want all 20 books. I'll just tell you that right now. I'm going to
guess $200.
Oh, you're very close. It's $275.
Okay.
But 20 books. Come on. So
that is a lot of books.
Yeah. But if you want, you can have all the books and they're all pretty cool. So Ryder Games graphic novel adventures, They've got probably 6 days to go by the time you hear this. So, or maybe a bit less. So check that out. Don't wait around too long. The next one that I want to mention, shout out to Warehouse 13, the expansion. I know I've talked about this before, but still going on. Got probably about 10 or 9 days by the time you hear this, and it has the H.G. Wells character and 2 expansions for the game, one that makes it harder and one that makes it easier. So definitely check that out. The next one is Winterhaven Woods, and this one I'm mentioning just for the art. Check out the art of the critters in this game. Critters in wintertime. It's gorgeous. And this is a game where you're drafting and then you are putting your creatures out to get points, but you can take creatures from each other with predators and things like that. So there's a bit of take that to it, but they say that it is that you can sort of modify how much take that is in the game. And there's also a solo mode. So it looks gorgeous. Winterhaven Woods.
The artwork looks very minimalistic, right?
Yes, because they're all in the wintertime. So it's just sort of a white background with these really stark animal designs.
Is this the one with the quote?
Yeah. Okay. So this just cracked me up because this is a quote on the Kickstarter page. It says, "It creates this feeling. You know, when you're walking in the woods and it's crisp, but not cold, and it's sunny, but not summer, and it's just quiet and calm. You feel like that when you play this game." I promise is actually part of the quote. Amazing. So, thank you, Jim
pretty
Cohen.
good.
It's very specific. It's a very specific feeling. But at any rate, the art is fantastic. So, and the last one that I'll mention for this week, speaking of great art, but also just a great concept for a game, this is called Heckin Hounds, Heckin Hounds. And in this one, you've been snagged by Hades and forced to walk her dogs. So you're dog walkers for the devil. But it's a trick-taking game. And it's a trick-taking game where everyone plays with their hand facing out, except for the person who's the shift leader. So the shift leader gets to see their own cards and everybody else's cards. Everyone else only gets to see everyone else's cards and not the shift leaders. And from that information, you have to determine how many tricks you're going to take in the game.
Oh, man.
To help you out, the shift leader has to give some information around the table, but they can decide how helpful they want to be, basically, with that information. It's just, and everyone's going to take a turn being the shift leader. It sounds hilarious. And at the end of the game, the people who do the best job of walking the dogs and get the best amount of points, they're actually going to be taken to hell and kept there forever because they're so good at this. So they lose.
Even if you win, you lose.
And if you did the worst job, then you're just fed to the dogs. You're fed to the hellhounds. So so it's the player who does just enough to get by.
That's funny.
Oh, it's going to be good, I think.
I like silly concepts like that.
Yeah, that's what I really like about this one. And then there's art with with some pretty cute little hounds on it. So check that one out. Heckin' Hounds. If you like trick-taking games, this one seems like it has enough twists to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds pretty neat. I'm going to check that one out.
That's what I got for you this week. I'll have more next time.
All right, cool. Well, before we get to the games that we're going to talk about on this episode, check out our MeepleCore.com. Click that Humble Bundle partner link and then go to Humble Bundle. It'll redirect you there. Click on the bundles, choose a bundle, buy something cool, support charity, support our show. And we got 3 games for you this week: Aztec, Gold West, and Beyond the Sun. And so first up, we have Aztec. Aztec
is a 2020 release. There is no tagline. Somebody needs to add one. Oh, we could do this.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're gonna do it like we did last time. Just improv this.
Let's see. Get gems.
It's a bluffing game, so we got to add bluff in there.
That's true. Yeah. How about explorer children? Because they are. It makes no sense.
They are.
Explorer kids lie to each other.
Bluffing their way to victory.
Bluff their way to the largest
stash of gems.
Yeah, to score the most gems.
In the rule book, I guess it would help to mention, it says, it's time to divvy up the treasure from the Aztec temple that you and your fellow explorers have discovered. But in the presence of the jewels, certain individuals have decided not to be true to their word, especially because the legend says that the greediest will soon part with their riches.
All right, so
but they are all kids.
Explorer kids bluff their way to come away with the most Aztec treasure.
Yeah, all right, that works.
All right, we'll try it.
That's just funny.
All right, this is by designer Stefan Bohm. The artist is Sabrina Tobal, and the publisher is Matagot.
So in Aztec, as we read the story just now, basically you're trying to bluff your way to get a bunch of gems. I guess it's a story, but basically what happens is each player gets this little player board that's mostly to put things on, although there is one slight difference among all the player boards, and that is what 2 gems you need in order to score for pairs. So everyone at the end of the game will get points for a set of blue, red, and yellow. Right, so every blue, red, and yellow you have, I think you get 2 points for. And then in addition to that, maybe your character says for every blue and red that you have, you'll get 1 point for. Whereas like George, you might have one that says for every 2 yellow, you get a point for.
And there only are 3 colors in the game, red, blue, and yellow.
Yeah, there's only those 3 colors. Everybody will get 5 cards from the deck, and that represents the 5 rounds of the game. The game is a pretty simple game. Basically, everybody will flip out, or sorry, you won't flip it over, but you'll look at the top card of your personal deck. So round 1, you'll pick the first card. It will have between 2 and 4 gems of no more than 2 colors. So maybe it'll say blue, blue, and yellow. Well, as you heard, George needs a lot of yellow. He doesn't really have a lot of requirements for blues unless he's going for the triplet set where you have 1 of each. Well, everybody's doing this at the same time. You look at your 1 card, you put it face down, and then you're going to take from the supply the gems that you are saying are on that card. So maybe I put a red, a blue, and a blue. George, you put 3 yellows because it could be 1 color. And a blue. Yeah, he's going greedy there. It's 4. And then everybody sets that up. So now you look around the table, you decide who you think is telling the truth and who's lying, but you only get to vote on 1 person. You have a character token that has a green side and a red side. You will choose which side it is, and everybody at the count of 3 will place that token in front of another player, green side up or red side up. And then in turn order, everybody, you take turns revealing your card, and you reveal it, and if you were telling the truth, stuff happens. If people said you were lying, but you really were telling the truth, there's some penalties for them, for getting it wrong. And if you were lying and then people try to call you out, you get drugged through the coals, basically. So what's ended up happening is this: either you're telling the truth or you're lying. And if you're telling the truth, you get to add the jewels to your stash, right? Whatever was on that card, you're getting.
Right.
Then you're actually going to give away a cursed stone, which are black stones. So I guess there is a 4th color to the game, but because you do start your player board with a couple of those on it, but you'll give that away to the players who tried to call you out, right? So if somebody said that you were lying and they got it wrong because you really tell the truth, they get 1 of your cursed stones. And on your player board, there's like a progression scoring there. So the more cursed stones you have, you'll place them in spaces. And then there's thresholds that make them worth more negative points at the end of the game.
Right. For every 3 that you get, it goes up with the threshold, and it goes 2, 5, 10, 15.
Yeah.
Of negative points. So it's pretty onerous.
Now, if 2 or more people put tokens in front of you saying you were lying, but you were not, you actually get to draw an artifact card. And those you get to draw, you always draw 3 and pick one. And these are like additional in-game scoring things, or sometimes it'll be in an event that you just do right then. Like you play it and you get to steal somebody else's face down artifact, or you play it and you can immediately discard some cursed gems or whatever. Just a bunch of different things. Or it might just say, for every 3 blue gems you have at the end of the game, you get 3 extra points, which kind of makes you want to go for blue gems,
Right.
Anyway, each player who did believe you, and said that you were telling the truth gets to discard one of their cursed stones from their player board. So you do want to get it right, If you lied, then it depends on if people try to call you out or not, right? So if you lie, but no one accused you of lying, you get to add those gems to your stash.
Yeah.
You gain an artifact, and each player who believed you got it wrong, they take a cursed stone from the supply. And if you lied and at least one person accused you of lying, then the stones that you lied about, you all get reverted to whatever the card is. So you're always going to get the stones each round. It's not like you get denied them. But instead of getting your 3 yellow and a blue, George, you only get like your blue, and a yellow. Then each person who accused you of lying gives you one of their cursed stones from their board. And if at least 2 people accused you of lying, each of these players gain an artifact. So accusing somebody and getting it right of lying is really nice because it is a way for you to get artifacts.
As long as you get someone else to do it along with you so that there's at least 2 of you doing the accusing.
Right. And there's really no discussion on that. It is kind of like everybody make a decision, 3, 2, 1, place your thing. So you can't just gang up and say, everybody accuse Eric of lying, type of deal.
That's true.
I guess you could, but that doesn't seem like what the spirit of the game is. After that, that's like majority of the game there. Past that, you will go to, applying these curses. So there's always going to be a blue, yellow, and a red card out there with 1 cursed gem on it. And whoever has the most blues, stones on their board will take all the cursed gems on that blue card. Same thing with red and yellow.
Right.
If it's a tie between 2 people, then nobody takes them. And so they'll pile up over time. And then some of those event cards you play might actually put more gems on there. So, and that's pretty much it. And that you end the round, you'll discard that 1 card that you played. You'll add 1 more cursed stone to every one of the 3 cards face up, and you'll do it again. And you'll do this 5 times. And then you score at the end of the game. You get your negative score for your cursed gems. You get points for having a trip set of red, yellow, blue, plus whatever your player board says, and then the artifacts, and whoever has the most points is the winner. What'd you think about this? I know you haven't really dove into it or anything, but what'd you think about what you saw? Does it sound pretty interesting? I'm curious on what your idea is before I say anything.
Here's the one thing that really bugs me about this game. And it's a Matagot game, and so the art is lovely, and I always enjoy Matagot art. But why are they kids? Why are we letting kids steal gems out of temples? How does this happen?
I don't know. Stranger Things.
There's no reason. There's no reason for this game. Like the theme of this game. Why couldn't they just make them people you would expect to actually go find a temple and get gems and lie to each other about the contents? I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird that they just made them kids. But okay. It doesn't matter because really this game is just about a mechanical process of bluffing. It's a bluffing game, like so many other bluffing games. And yet, I do kind of like the way that you don't get super penalized. If you lie and you get caught, you don't lose everything. You still get everything on that card, that's on the actual card. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of decent of the game, I think, to make it friendly in that way. And it's really just the accumulation of these negative curse gems that get you in the end. But it doesn't have a negative experience during the game.
Right.
Which I think that's nice.
And I'm gonna elaborate real quick on that curse things. One time, Eric had more gems. Like, we didn't know what to do. He had more cursed gems than the board allows. So we didn't know. It doesn't specify in the rule book if you just get those, or if you're already at minus 15, do you just don't gain any more cursed gems at that point? There's not a lot of information on this game. I think it came out real early in the pandemic and just died.
Yeah.
But with that being said, he almost beat me and I had no cursed gems. So to your effect, you don't get that punished for having cursed gems, because typically if you're getting cursed gems somehow, you might have done things and got artifacts along the way. And so you have more opportunities to score at the end of the game to make up for it.
Right. I like how the game is so short as well. There's just 5 rounds of bluffing and you're done. Bam.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually, you know what it reminds me of? It seems like we sat down, we played Ink and Gold a whole lot, and we're like, let's make a different game using all these components. Not exactly, but it really feels like that. The whole Aztec theme and all the gems and stuff.
Oh, that's funny, yeah.
It really does remind me of Ink and Gold as we're playing it, even though it is completely different, you know?
Yeah.
But I actually really enjoyed this game. I thought for a small little box game that's 20 to 30 minutes, 5 rounds is plenty. You don't feel super penalized, like you're saying, for lying and getting called out, because you're like, yep, nope, I lied. Sorry, guys. I'll take what I was supposed to get, you know?
Yeah.
Rather than, oh, crap, I lied. I don't get anything.
Exactly. I think that is a really good decision on the part of this game's designers.
Yeah, that's really awesome. The artifacts are really cool. I don't know. There's not a whole, I'm not saying the game is amazing and you should go out and buy it, but right now it's so cheap to find that it is worth picking up if you're already placing an order. The game is actually really good.
If you're looking for a family-friendly bluffing game, this is going to be a nice one.
Yeah. Now I haven't played it with the max player count of 6, but I can see that it's definitely the more the merrier, but it does also play really well at 3 as well.
Which is the minimum you can play it with is 3.
Yeah, 3 to 6. So
yeah,
the more the merrier, because there's more people throwing out tokens and such. But it is kind of neat playing with just 3 people because it's so intimate. Like, I mean, you only put your token against one person. So it's quite often that one person gets 2 player tokens against them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing I will say about the game is it is so confusing. There is a lot of rules based on if you're telling the truth, but people lied and or tried to call you out for lying, or if they said good thing. There's a lot of things that happens with the outcome of each player's turn. The whole game's right. It's what? All right. What happens again? Like,
that's it. That's the whole game is based on that. Yeah.
Right. Do I grab the curse token from you? No, you get it from the supply when this specific scenario happens.
This game needs some player aids.
It does have them. They're garbage.
Okay.
They are totally different. The writing on it is totally different than the actual rule book.
Oh boy.
And so it's just really confusing. I didn't like the player aids. It's almost like to photocopy the spot in the rule book and print that out a few times and give it to each other player.
Right. The game needs some good player aids. Somebody needs to make some for it.
Yeah. Or just be consistent. They weren't very consistent there. And that was the problem.
Okay. But once you were playing it for a while, once you play it, a few evenings, you're going to have it down.
Yeah, agreed. But it's not as easy as Ink and Gold or something like that, where, you just explain the rules. And even through the first 2 rounds, people are like, okay, I get this. This is like 2 to 3 games in. You're still, all right, where do it's mostly the curse things, or I don't get an artifact because I did this. No, you only get an artifact if, you called somebody out for lying or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, even just talking about it, I'm confused. Hold on. When do you get the artifact? So it is kind of confusing because I almost read it verbatim earlier when I was explaining the game.
Yeah. And it's already confusing.
It's already confusing because it's like, if you're telling the truth, here's all the things that happen based on if somebody thought you were telling the truth, thought you were lying. Did you actually tell the truth? Did you get cat? Did nobody vote on you? Did more than 2 people? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different things.
Yeah, and it might be tough for grandma.
This is not a grandma game, I don't think.
Yeah, there's a little more to it.
The gameplay is good. If you got one person who really has that down,
yeah,
the outcomes and stuff, the game flows fine.
Okay, yeah, just have that one person sort of running the scoring and everything. Yeah.
Exactly. Then the game's fine. Then basically you're saying, do you want to bluff or not? If people call you out, bad things can happen. I mean, that's the concept, and you don't really, need to know.
And that's as simple as a concept gets, and there's so many games based on this. And yet there's a lot of positive things about this particular take on it, I think. But you're right. That bit of rules overhead and the confusion that goes into it is definitely a detraction, as well as those kids. Why are they kids?
I don't know. Like, it says age 10 plus, maybe they're focusing on like younger kids for this type of game because maybe, I don't know, we played it with all our older gamers and we had quite a bit of fun with it. So
yeah.
I'm recommend checking it out, especially since it's out there. I mean, even full retail, I think it's $20 and you get a ton of stuff with it. I mean,
right.
You get so
Cards,
many gems and so if you hate the game and you prototype games or something, you got prototyping components right there.
Play ink and gold with it.
Worst case. Yeah. I mean, really, you could. I mean, not really.
You need the deck.
The deck of cards are totally different, but either way, I recommend it. Try it out. If you're going to be placing an order and it's from something like Miniature Market or whatever, not that we're affiliated, but they have it as good prices on there all the time.
Not yet. Call us, Miniature Market.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Our number is no, but try it out. I think it's a good little bluffing game, and I actually feel like this just came out at the wrong time and just got completely destroyed because of it, and unfairly, because I'm not saying the game is like an 8.0 or anything, but I'd say it's a high 6, which is pretty good for a filler.
Yeah, I think I absolutely agree with you, and I would suggest that they make another version of it with slightly different non-child art. And,
the art is good.
The art is great. The art is very, very good. Just make them, not children. Make them explorers. Make them
like
adults.
Indiana Jones type of people.
Indiana Jones.
So it can be completely ink and gold. Let's give them torches while you're at it.
Yeah, sure. and maybe on the pieces that you put down that say, yes, I believe you, or no, I don't believe you, there could be some iconography that shows what happens. Maybe that would help.
Yeah, I don't know if they could do that. I mean, those tokens are pretty small. There is something on there already. It is absolutely ignored by everyone.
Oh, see, I just ignored it myself.
Right. So I don't know if you see pictures of that token, but the player token you put down does have like a little bit of iconography, but it doesn't cover every interaction that happens. So you do need the player aid or somebody who knows what's going on or just know all the rules.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you've got that, this one should be a good one.
Yeah. Check it out. Anyway, anything else? Or are you done?
I'm good.
That is Aztec. So next up on this episode, we are talking about Gold West.
A 2015 game, the ecstasy of gold lures you to create the most prosperous mining empire. The designer is J. Alex Kevern, the artist, Adam P. McIver, and the publisher is Tasty Minstrel Games.
I love these taglines on Board Game Geek. So cool.
The ecstasy of gold.
Yeah, the ecstasy. So gold.
I feel like we need to add more adjectives into the ones that we are suggesting.
I know, right?
Note to self.
Gold West is a game where you're doing 3 different types of things 12 times. You have these 12 tents. Once everybody's placed all their tents out, the game ends. And it's all about whoever has the most points at that time. So you have a player board and then there's a main board. The player board actually has this Mancala style system where there are 4, I guess, like storage boxes that you're putting the materials you get into. And then on your turn, you're going to choose one of those storage boxes, pick up all the pieces from it, and then move them up. And then but each space that you move, you have to drop off a piece. And then whatever leaves your board is the materials you get to use that turn. And they're either going to be metals, copper, silver, or gold, or the building materials, which are the green and black, which is, I think, wood and stone. So those are the 5 different resources, and you're trying to only allow the resources you want to come off the board that you can use that round, because if you can't use it, you lose it, right? In some cases. Anyway, what happens is the main board has all these hexagons, like this grid system, and you put these little circle tokens on there face down, and they're of different colors. There's 4 different colors: green, gold, like brown, and like a red. And these kind of represent what types of materials are going to be on them, but some of them are face up, and those are the ones that surround the river at the beginning of the game. But each time you take a token, they'll flip up, and the ones around it will also flip up too. So you're kind of exploring the area. Anyway, on your turn, you're going to be doing the Mancala thing. The second thing you'll do is, if you have any metals that you've taken off the Mancala mechanic, you can spin those. You can buy these investment cards, which require you to spend maybe 4 or 5 metals to buy the card. It's worth victory points. Sometimes they have a little power. There's a boom town, which is a 3x3 grid. And if you spend, say, for instance, the gold and a silver, you're going to line up the gold column with the silver row, and then put one of your markers at the intersection and gain whatever ability is there, which is usually in-game scoring. And that's kind of randomized at the beginning of the game. The last thing you can spend your metals on is to move up on these shipping tracks, 1 per space. There's, 1 for each of the metals, and there's like thresholds that you cross over that give you victory points. There's also like a first come, first serve token stack. So if you pass over this, you'll get like a 9-point token, and the next person will get a 7-point token, etc. That's how you spend your metals. Then at the third phase of your turn is placing a tent. Now there's basically 3 things that's going to happen. You will choose one of the mining tokens on the main board that are face up, take the resources that it says you get, put all those resources in one of your Mancala wells, or storage boxes or whatever. Can't split them up. And then if you had spent a green or a black, you then get to put your tent on the main board and keep the token on your player board. And that's going to be like in-game scoring for majorities. So if I got the most greens by the end of the game, then I'll get 8 points. The second most will get 4, stuff like that. However, if I spent a green and a black, then I get to put down like a disc underneath my tent, which is used for different things. It's obviously more points, but you also get a second green from that, or whatever color token you pick. So if you picked a gold space, you get to move it up again on your majorities. So you get 2 in a row that way. But if you didn't spend any resources to build, you get the token still, and you get the resources, but you have to discard that token. And you put your tent on this wanted poster. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most tokens there will suffer -1 point. Whoever has the second most will suffer -1 for every 2 tents there. That's pretty much it. You'll do that essentially 12 times, and then score all your points at the end of the game. And whoever has the most is the winner. Now, George, I'm going to start with you. We kind of played this a little bit before the show. I played it a couple of times now. Did you know anything about this before I showed you it, or no?
No, I didn't know a thing about it. I think I'd heard of it before. I think it was out of print for a while or something like that, but I didn't know anything about the game whatsoever, which is kind of a shame and a bit surprising to me, because I really do like games with Mancala mechanisms. So this one was a new one for me.
Yeah. I guess I'll start and say a few things, and then you can chime in. I actually really did like this game. I liked it more than I thought I would. The Mancala thing is basically the whole puzzle of the game, because you don't want to, what's interesting is you can put the pieces on the very first slot of the Mancala, and then when you take your turn, you can move all those pieces off the board immediately and get them all. Right. But the problem is, none of the resource spots on the board give you more than 3 resources, and a lot of those investment cards require 4 or 5. So you need to stack them in such a way to where when you take actions, you're piling up everything on the very last space, but you're still doing actions. And then you just after 3 or 4 turns, do a really big turn where you do that and you have like a bunch of metal resources to spend,
Right.
And the further back that you put your resources, I like this rule. The further back that you put your resources, you actually get bonus points, but it's going to take more turns to get those off your board.
And you might be wasting them if you do them at the wrong time and they come off when you don't actually need them. So it's harder to manage the further back you put them.
I like that. And I don't know, the game is really fast. It's very gateway-ish, I guess, is the best way to say it.
I think it's beyond gateway. I think it's another step beyond.
Like just a little bit more than a gateway?
This is like a medium weight, but very, very fast. It's not like
very
a medium
fast.
weight medium. It's not a medium weight Euro that takes, an hour and a half to play. This is under an hour for sure.
Oh yeah. Even with 4 players, this game is like an hour and 10 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
It would probably be faster if I had played it 5 or 6 times. This is on Board Game Arena, so that implementation is really cool. It's really nicely implemented because, all the fiddliness of moving things around. I mean, I actually feel like the Mancala mechanism is less fiddly in person than it is in a computer.
And it's certainly more enjoyable.
It is certainly enjoyable because you pick up a whole wad of stuff and just drop one piece and drop one piece, similar to something like 5 Tribes, right?
Right. But I do think it's great for Board Game Arena because the way that Board Game Arena does all the scoring for you is really well done. That's
for sure.
And this isn't one that I'd want to house rule anyway, so.
Oh my gosh, there's no house rules here?
Not that I am aware of at this point. I've only played it once.
That's fair. The only thing I can say that might be is whatever is the very last turn. Once you move stuff around and you collect your resources, you almost always throw that in slot 3 for the 3 points.
Oh yeah,
but that's whatever. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It'd just be cool if there's something else to that. It's just kind of a given at that point.
Right. Right.
But otherwise, I like all the contract cards or the investment cards that come out. There's a nice good stack of those, and you only use like 8, I believe.
Okay.
And the Boomtown thing is really cool. The only thing I would say about the Boomtown is you put in these rectangles that are 2 spaces wide, and each space is always the exact same ability. Like, score 1 point for every tent on the edge of the board. The next one next to it is the same thing. And so you're slotting in this 3x3 grid with 2 space rectangles. And then there's a 1 spacer that's always in the game. It's just like a point, like 4 points or something.
Yeah. 4. Yeah.
It'd almost be better if all of them were individual squares. It would just be a little bit more varietied, cause instead of having essentially 1, 2, 3, 4 different tiles, you would actually, and then plus the 4-pointer, you would actually have 8 different ones plus the 4-pointer. That makes sense.
Yeah, but if you have 2 that are the same, at least 2 people get to get that opportunity.
Well, you could still do it that way, but it allows them to be broken up, I guess.
That's true. You can put them in different spots. Yeah, yeah.
Right, but you're right. Like if there was only 1 of each ability, then if somebody got that 1 and it's just really paying off this turn, because there was one time we played it where I got I get a point for every tent that's on the wanted thing, and I wasn't putting any there. And then I went and got the second one, so I was the only one scoring 2 points off every tent on the wanted thing. That worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it could still happen. Yeah, it could still happen.
It could still happen, yeah. It'd just be neat if that was a little bit more, or if it was like 1 space bigger, so it's a 4x4. But I don't know how you would do that because there's only 3 types of metals, and that's the whole point of it being a 3x3 grid. So yeah, it's not that big of a deal. That grid actually never, even a 4-player game, I don't think that grid ever filled up for us. So, because if you go there, you can only fill in 1 spot per turn. And most of the time you're wanting to buy those investments or move up on the shipping track to get a ton of points. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just, we like to be pointing out everything we think of. So
this is a good one. It's clever. It's got just enough crunchiness to it. It's got, some real decisions to be made for sure, but you're still under an hour playtime. And there's a lot to be said, for that. This is kind of a game I need to come back to and play a lot more.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have played it way more times on BGA than in person-ish. I say in person, but it's Tabletop Simulator.
Same thing these days.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing, at least during the pandemic. And yeah, I'm going to be picking this one up. I think that this is the type of game where I like it, because it's thinky. You're trying to plan out a few turns ahead. I want to get that tile. But it's cool because it's not super in your face with other players. You are competing against each other because it's a first come first serve system to pick up the tiles from the table, but you kind of understand what people are going for because you get points for building the tents next to each other, but you don't have to. And so maybe that like maybe one of those gold tokens flipped out with 3 gold on it and you're going to pick that, but I'm hoping that you don't, because you're obviously that's out of your way because it's, not near the water, which is one of the points that you're going after, maybe because you took the Boomtown action. It's also not connected to your other tents. So I can kind of plan to take it, but then you take it and I have to revise a little bit. But there's not a whole lot of that going on with like revising your plan based on what other people do. Unless maybe they take a spot in Boomtown you were trying to go for, or maybe take a card that you're trying to go for. But you can see what other people have in their Mancala system and kind of predict that. And I like that idea. And if you are confident enough with the Mancala system, then you can glance around at what other people are doing and really make those strategic decisions. And I think that's really cool. So it definitely rewards playing it a few times and getting better at it. It's a short enough game lengthwise for what you're doing and the thought process that it's a really good game. I'm really impressed with this one.
Yeah, this one's a winner. I really want to play it more. I haven't played very many games by this designer at all. This is a designer that I've almost entirely missed. And that there's another game of his that my brother owns. I still haven't played it, but it's the World's Fair 1893. Alex Kevern. Yeah. And that's one that I've wanted to play for a little while, but that's really the only other one that I've heard of his or really thought about. So yeah, I'm going to have to look into this guy.
I have played World's Fair. I didn't realize he designed Sentient, and I really like that game.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that too.
That's really good. I like that game. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like he's got a couple of winners there.
All right, let's find out what he's working on now.
Yeah, right. Keep an eye on this guy. No, he did do Passing Through Petra, which got a lot of bad reviews, but you can't win them all.
Well, I missed that one entirely. Like I've missed this guy's games almost across the board. So I'm glad to find Gold West now, though. It's a good one.
Fair enough. We got to play Sentient next, and I mean they're not comparable at all. They're nothing alike, but. Sentient is a really good game. But yeah, I'm going to end up buying this one. I think this is definitely a game that, like you said, maybe it is a little bit deeper than Gateway. And that's
just a bit, I think. Yeah.
That's a really good zone to be in with purchasing games, depending on your player group or whatever. For me,
right.
Outside of us playing games, that is definitely something like, my family and things like that would enjoy.
Right. So. Exactly. Yeah.
All right, well, I guess we're done with this one unless you got anything else to finalize or final words or whatever.
It's a good game.
All right. Yep. Check it out. That is Gold West. And so last up on this episode, we are talking about Beyond the Sun.
This is a 2020 release. Collectively develop a tech tree to fuel the automation and colonization of space. The designer is Dennis K. Chan. The artist is Franz Vollwinkle. And the publisher is Rio Grande Games.
There's a lot going on in this game, so I'm going to kind of generalize it and be very quick, simply because I'm not trying to teach how to play the game. I just want you to get an understanding if you know nothing of it so that you understand what our thoughts are. This is essentially a worker placement game, but the worker placement actions are in a tech tree system like you would see in a video game, like Age of Empires or Space Games, or even like a talent tree in something like Diablo or World of Warcraft or early Warcraft, where there's, you've got one spot that branches off to 2 other cards. Those branch off to 2 more cards apiece, like a family tree, kinda. There are some basic actions that you can take that are printed on the board, and those will usually have you researching those tech tree tiers. And so on your turn, it's very simple. You're going to take your 1 action marker and move it to a new spot. So it can't stay in the same spot, but if that spot has multiple spaces and one of them's empty, you can shift over and do the action again. Typically, a lot of the spaces only have 1 action spot for them, though. So you'll move around, you'll place the action, you'll do what the card says. Maybe you'll research a new tier. When you do this, most of the cards on the tech tree are face down, and they're actually event cards. So the first person to research that spot will flip out the event card, do what the event says. Sometimes it actually puts the card into play, like for in-game scoring purposes or whatever. Sometimes it'll benefit you and then give a slight benefit to other players. Sometimes it just benefits you. There's a bunch of different events that will happen. Some of the events will actually unlock new printed abilities on the board as well. There are 4 different there's like 2 tier 1s and 2 tier 2s that you can unlock through those event cards. Finally, you're going to flip out cards to actually fill in that tech tree space based on the color. So there's some requirements there, but you flip out, you get 2 options. You choose which one's going to go there permanently. And anybody who ends up researching that space, because every time you research one of the tech tree spaces, you'll put one of your dice there that shows a person. The dice in the game are basically just counters, but there's 6 sides. So you've got ship power 1, 2, 3, and 4. You have the little person icon and then the supply cube icon, which is how it starts on your player board. Anyway, some of the actions that you are doing will also allow you to build ships and put on this like exploration board, which is essentially just a grid of, there's like 4 cards on there with like lines going to these different planets. So you'll fly these ships around to different cards and you can do actions to colonize those cards, which, to take over this one planet, maybe you have to have a colonization of 5. So you have to have 5 power of ships there in order to colonize. The reason you want to do that though, is because by controlling a planet, so you have the most power there, you get to take one of your production discs, and it's either, you have 2 different productions. You have people production and ore production, which is the currency. And you'll put one of those discs on the planet that you control. If you colonize it, you then get to take that card and put it in front of you and put a second disc on there. And much like games like Terra Mystica, the more discs or, things that you get off your player board, the better, because it reveals what's printed on the space. Because at the end of your round, when you're done with your action, you get to choose what production track you produce from. And so the more of those discs that are gone, the more people you'll collect or the more ore that you'll collect. And that's really the game. I mean, the game is kind of simple in concept. It's really about what actions do you take? Which tech tree paths do you try to go for? The game, the ending, which I'll mention real quick because this is something I actually like about the game. There are objective cards, first person to colonize 4 or 6 planets gets to put a guy here. First person to collect or to empty out one of their production tracks gets to claim this. And that's one of the way the game will end. Depending on the player count, I believe. Once you do usually 3 or 4 of those, the game will end at the end of the next round.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go ahead and use that as a segue to talk about some things I like about the game. And at first, on the first couple playthroughs, I wasn't for sure I liked the fact that those in-game achievement things were so little points. It says the first person to colonize 6 planets. You put your marker there and you'll get 3 bonus points at the end of the game. 1 planet gives you 4 to 7, And so you're not scoring a whole lot of points from the achievements. It's just allowing the game to progress and finish, right? And I actually kind of liked it that way, more so than other games where you'll get 2 or 3 points for doing this thing. And if you do it 5 times, whoever does it 5 times gets 50 points, or 22 points. It's like, man, you're the first person to do it, so you get a ton of points. I actually kind of like that it was a little bit opposite, where the achievements are a little bit less points than other games. It's kind of a neat thing. Okay. Either way, though, George, first glance, what's your opinion?
And this is a first glance because this is one that I haven't played. So I'm just going to sort of play devil's advocate here and just sort of ask you some questions about what you felt about the game. From my first glance, I have to say that the game itself does not live up to that box cover at all. That box cover is gorgeous and really draws me in. And then you look at the game itself and it's bizarre. Like there
is no theme.
There doesn't appear to be any graphics really either. Your player boards are solid white with black text. It's such a weird decision. Do you not think so?
I agree with you. It's kind of weird, and I will kind of diss the publisher real fast. Rio Grande actually said they want players to assume whatever theme they want. If you want to play Battlestar Galactica, just picture, if you want to do like, pretend you're in the Star Wars world or whatever.
I see.
No.
That doesn't happen. That doesn't work for me.
No, I actually do wish the game had a little bit of a theme going on, or artwork. It doesn't have to have a theme, just some artwork. It's a space game, I get it. But like the tech tree cards themselves, they actually have names, like all the abilities might be like, cloning facility or something, right? You can have like a little icon with what that is. So if you glance across, I don't know. They could have added a couple of little art things, made your player boards look a little fancy. The only art in the game are the planets on that exploration board that you're moving around on. And even then, it's like very basic stuff.
Yeah. It's such a disappointment to see it. But I don't agree with that philosophy of just imagine whatever you want. Okay.
No, that's why I read that in like a Twitter thread or something. I was like, nope. Now, when I review this game, I'm calling it out. That's garbage. Sorry.
Yeah. That's we're not paying an artist.
Yeah. So here's my prototype. Just pretend what. Yeah. It's like showing somebody a prototype and be like, you know what? Just whatever thing you want, guys. Whatever theme you want. You imagine it, it happens. It's we're over that.
That's terrible.
So, but to be a little bit devil's advocate on that too, I actually don't think the game looks bad either.
No?
Weirdly enough, I don't look at it and think it looks terrible. It just might, drive some people away because there's not a lot of pretty things to look at, but it's not.
Yeah.
The overall theme of it doesn't look bad. Like the graphics art, like the graphic design, or like the card frames and things like that. Now the player boards are very bleh.
Yeah, the player boards are terrible. The pieces, the actual pieces and the dice and things, they have some interesting color to them. They're not the standard, red, blue, green, yellow. Like they've got a little personality with some of those odd colors that they're using. That's right. Cool. And the cards themselves, there's a whole lot of white space on those cards with little tiny, tiny print.
There's a lot of tiny print.
That seems really unnecessary as well.
Yeah, this has a BGA implementation as well, and it's really nice on BGA. And in person, the game is much harder to like look across the board and read stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So yeah, it's a tough one for me to sort of get into.
Personally, I don't think this is a game for George anyway. I'll just throw that out there. Yeah. But realistically, it is pretty much just a worker placement game. You just have one worker that moves around to do stuff, and you just do what the card says. That's literally the game. Other than, the card is telling you to put some ships on this other board, and you move around and try to take control over things that other people have, and then try to colonize it first.
So there's these two boards. There's the one tech tree, which is the cool thing about the game. And then there's the move around and do an area control thing.
I actually like that part better.
Well, that's like the majority. That's like where the game happens, right? That's how you win the game. I think. I may be wrong.
Well, it depends. I don't think you need to go that route. But it also depends on what type of cards are out there in the tech tree too.
Okay.
The game has a phenomenal amount of replayability as far as like the randomization of the setup, the randomization of the events that come out, the randomization of all those planets, because those planets do have some things printed on it that you might want to get or not get, you know?
Yeah.
The events are like an interesting thing because some of them are really cool. Some of them are really crappy. You know, somebody might get an event that benefits them more than the event you got because your event is an in-game scoring card that goes out into play and it's something you haven't even been striving for.
Right. Just bad luck.
It's kind of like bad luck, right? Whereas the card you got gave you a bunch of resources and you got to create a ship and then everybody else might get something small, but obviously you net gamed above everybody right now. Or like the card I've drew is the black market card, which you can put a disc on and, you know, get something specific. I forget what it does now, but everybody could do that exact same thing. So the events are kind of like wonky as far as like balancing, I guess, in a way, but it never really felt that's just like analyzing them when I'm playing the game. I don't really care that much. If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. To play this game, you have to not care about that and you have to not care about theme. Okay. So just playing devil's advocate a little more, this is a comment that I've seen about the game. Some people would say that on the tech tree, which is, you know, one of the more interesting parts of the game, really what you get with every card on the tech tree is just a little bit better
action
out of 4 basic actions. So the difference really isn't that
right.
It's not that big a deal. You know, you get to the end of the tech tree and it's not like, my God, I can do so much. It's just, I get this one little thing. Okay.
Correct. So I will say that, like, for instance, on the basic actions, I'll bring them up here. One of them is to spend a dude to explore a tier 1 tech tree card, right? Or the next one's like spend 2 ore to research a level 2. But, or let's just say this one right here. This one is, you know, spend 4 in a guy to colonize a planet. But obviously you have to have the ships on that planet to do so. But if you have terraforming, which is like a tier 1 or something card, you can spend 3 plus a guy. So it's 1 or cheaper. Right. So you're right. I mean, for the most part, you go deeper into the tech tree and there's an ability called jump, which allows you to move your ships around on the board. So basically what you end up doing is you'll do the same action, but you'll get something slightly, you know, small as a bonus.
Yeah.
Like you could go here and create a ship that's level 2, but if you're a tech tree above it, you get that level 2 and you also get to jump it twice, you know, stuff like that. It's not like the tech tree actions are drastically different than the original actions. You're right. Usually it's like a combination of being cheaper or adding something small onto it as an incremental bonus.
Yeah.
Or having an immediate effect when you first research that card and stuff.
So when I see that and I see the kind of game it is, you're right. It's not a game for me, but it just makes me think, this is going to be really dry. It's going to be, I'm getting these little incremental things. I'm doing all this to get them. And I know the game has a flow to it, which from what I've heard is, you know, very elegantly done and everything, one thing flows into the next. You don't even notice it the way that it's worked. But at the same time, are there moments of excitement in the game? Am I going to care? If I don't even have the theme that's not even there, you know, to the degree that it isn't, what's going to make me care about this game is what I'm wondering.
I think the point that where players actually end up caring is that exploration board and interacting with the other players. Like, oh man, he just moved a ship there and took over what I had. And so now I lost my production disc because that once somebody takes it over, that disc comes back to you. And so you're trying to figure out ways to take it back over before somebody colonizes it, because then all your ships on there are going to return back to the middle, which is deep space, stuff like that. You know, there's interactions, but it's definitely a Euro game style of interactions.
You can't mess with each other that much.
Correct. Right.
You're not you're going to have
it's
a
really
bombardment.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not, doing something to really hammer somebody. I destroy your ships in this area, things like that. No, it's just, I took this over before you did. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's really, like the tech tree, there's really nothing that stops you either, because all the players can research all the spaces. And you might take a completely different route than me or whatever. So
yeah,
it is an efficiency game, I guess. You're trying to make use of your actions and research things and do the actions that you get the most out of, with this little bit of an area control built into it on the side.
Okay.
Probably not a game for you. I think it is tremendously good. Although there are some things you need to be aware of for your first couple plays, just like I got taken, back by the end of the game, because you get a point for every thing you control on the exploration board, even if you don't, have a lot of stuff there. And it can end up being a ton of points that way. So being aware of the scoring is something I will say that you should,
yeah,
really consider, especially when it gets closer to the end of the game. I don't think this is a game I'm going to play 50 times, honestly, because it will, even though all the cards are very randomized, it is going to be a very similar flow. And what you were saying, all the tech actions, all the different cards that you can put there aren't that unique. They're not that different. It's just variants of the same actions. You're right. So the game will probably end up getting a little bit stale after a while. I don't know. I think there's enough plays there for me to consider owning it, which I'm cool about.
I imagine they are going for an expansion.
Oh yeah, probably.
This has definitely got a lot of hype and a lot of love.
Yeah, I think this will probably get expansions, but I don't know what they would add. Hopefully
right,
they don't add anything to really convolute it, but it'd be cool to see what they have.
But at the same time, they've got to add something to give it some spice.
That's true. Well, either way, I don't really have anything else to say about it other than if you look at it and immediately get turned off, I would definitely look a little deeper than that. This is definitely a game that you shouldn't judge it by its cover, even though the cover's nice. I just meant like the theme and presentation of the game. That is the least. That's the one thing that's a negative against the game. If you like, I guess, to be really honest, if you like dry Euros, you're going to like this game. If you're a Euro, like an American, like a Ameritrash gamer or something, stay away. This is not up your alley. This is definitely move around, try to be efficient with what you're doing to get the most out of your actions every turn to score the most points by the end of the game. And it does it really well. I like the little bit of a area control that's going on. That board's cool. So I really like this game. I think it's really good. And if you like Euro style games and you like your worker placement, this is one you should check out. So, all
right, I may give it a try.
I definitely.
It's not my kind of game. If I suffer through it, if I do all this resource conversion and everything, and I make it to the end of the game, let's say I get the most victory points. What have I become? What have I won?
Does it have a theme? I don't know.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
In this case, according to the publisher, whatever you want.
That's right.
You can you're now the czar.
Fantastic.
Of the Space Federation. I don't know. That wasn't even proper words. All right, we wrapping this up.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Well, Beyond the Sun, it's a recommendation for me. Just look past the artwork and there is a great game there.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
Fair enough. Anyway, Beyond the Sun. And with that, we are at the end of this episode. Yay. 131. Yay. Anything you got before we wrap this up, George?
Let's, I don't know. Played C'est Evident again. And, man, that is a good game. And also learned that it's not just my family that's terrible at it. It's my friends as well.
That's fair enough.
The game is just hard, but it's a good time.
We need to try that one then.
Yeah.
We'll see if the gaming group can do it.
Cannot, I guarantee you.
All right. Challenge accepted. All right. Anyway, we want to thank you again for tuning into episode 131 of the MeepleCore Gaming Podcast. This episode was recorded on July 2nd, 2021. Please send questions and comments to MeepleCore@gmail.com. Follow MeepleCore on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Check out video versions of the show on youtube.com/MeepleCore. Please like, subscribe, and leave reviews. It really helps us. And until next time, this is Tim Jennette, the Metal Meeple.
George Breden.
Keep on rocking and rolling dice.